Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes and I'm here to present the handover of the Burstner Viseo I670G. So starting the walk round on the driver's side of the motorhome first, you've got your awning and your awning light above the habitation door. The habitation door opens with the keys there, so you've got a Burstner key, so you've got two of them. So this opens and locks this door manually. And then just inside you've got your step switch, so you can bring your step out and always retract that before you do start travelling, as if you put the engine on it'll just buzz to let you know that the step's out. Just inside the door here you have the vehicle's weight plate, so this is a second stage conversion done by Burstner, so it'll have one underneath the bonnet for freight. This is the Burstner one which you go off now because it is now classed as a motorhome, not a chassis cab. So it's 3.5 tonne gross vehicle weight with a 5.5 tonne train weight. So that's giving you a 2 tonne towing weight on your tow bar at the rear. Coming further down you do have your two fridge vents, and then you've got your flue for your Truma heating and hot water system. So this operates on both gas and electric, but the flue's only important when operating on gas because it does allow the fumes out of the motorhome. So make sure that's always obstruction free. So if you're planning on putting an air awning on the side of the vehicle, make sure there's enough space for the fumes for the heater to circulate and that no material gets too close to it in case it melts. At the back here, with it being the G model, you do have your garage. So you've got quite a large garage on this vehicle. So you've got your awning and awning rafter bar here at the top. Access to the boiler. So this is where a technician would service and repair your boiler. But if I just jump inside the garage a minute so that you can see, it's got the all-important winter drain down toggle in here as well. So in the winter it's very important that you drain the water out of the boiler, and just down here there's a little yellow tap behind the pump. When not using it, what's best to do is flick this tap up. It's just underneath the hose there, so it's better angled here. So you'll see there that it's up. And what you can't, so that is drain down, and the 10 litres of water that's stored in the boiler will drain directly out underneath the van. When you come to use it, you want to flick it back down so it will hold the water. Otherwise, it will just allow all the water that you've put in via a hose, via your freshwater tank, which I'll show you where that is in a moment, out of the vehicle. So in the winter, up into position, drains it down, open your fresh tank, open your waste, leave all your taps open, turn your pump on for approximately 10 seconds to allow any water that's sitting in this, which is your pump, out, so that doesn't freeze and break the pump, split the insides, and then you can just forget about it, and your water system on your vehicle is fully winterized. It's very important that you drain it down in the winter, because if not it will invalidate your warranty with frost damage, because it's your responsibility to drain the vehicle down. So that's your boiler. At the back of the van you do have your bike rack. So this is a lift bike rack by the manufacturer Fiamma. So take the straps off on either side, and then you've got a handle, and it's a magnetic end, and it just clips on here. And you can wind the bike rack down so that you can load your bikes on. So it just means that you haven't got to lift them as high, because bikes nowadays are very heavy. Wind it down to about there, and then pull the front of the bike rack down. You can adjust the straps depending on how big your bike is, depending on where the wheels sit, and you want to pop the strap through the spoke of the wheel and tighten so it holds the wheels onto the rail. And then these hold your crossbars, so you've got your first bike and your second bike, and then we do recommend putting a bike lock around your bikes in the bike frame of the motorhome, just in case you happen to leave the vehicle unattended. You don't want your bike stolen, because that'll get your holiday off to a great start. So put a lock around your bike so that if you go into the petrol station or you go into the service stations on the motorway, your bikes are nice and safe and secure. And then you can just wind it back up. So you would just wind it back up till it retracts fully, which it's nearly there. And then put the straps back around the 3 frame bars. Squeeze this in and pull it through, and use the access strap through here. And do that on both sides, and it just means that your bikes are nice and safe and secure, as this is a safety feature on the bike rack in case anything does fail on the wind down mechanism, which it shouldn't, but it's nice to have a safety feature so you know that the bikes are nice and safe and secure. At the bottom of the van you do have your tow bar. So you've got a tow bar with 7-pin electrics if you're planning on towing anything there, and you do have a 2-ton towing limit on the vehicle. Coming onto the back of the passenger side, so this grey tap here, which has got a lever on the side, is your dirty water. So this is anything that you've put down a plug hole, which is collected from the kitchen sink, the hand basin in the washroom and the shower. On the way out of your site, you drive over your grid, which is your dirty water disposal point on your motorhome service bay, and get rid of this. You do not want to be driving around with the added weight of dirty water, because all it's going to do is it's going to take up some payload because you've added more weight with water, and it's going to use more diesel. So get rid of your water, you'll get better miles per gallon, and you'll be able to put more bits and pieces on board the vehicle without going over your payload. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker, and I've put my test bottle on here to show you your gas appliances working in your vehicle. So the motorhome runs off propane, and this size bottle is a 6 kilogram propane bottle. And to connect the pigtail, which is known as this pipe here, which runs from the regulator to the cylinder itself, which is the pigtail, it's left to tighten, right to loosen. And the beauty with this pigtail is it's a hand tighten one, so you don't even need a spanner. So just make sure it's hand tight, you turn the cylinder on, turn it off before you travel, just so it's safer for you and other road users. You can have 2 on, there is another pigtail at the back, so you can always have 2 bottles connected up at once. And you've got a manual changeover valve, so there's a little nib on here and it's pointing to the front. You can turn that and point it to the back bottle, should that be your reserve bottle, and that's green at the moment because the gas supply is on. If I turn the gas off, this will go red, so that'll either indicate that your gas has run out or it's switched off, and then you would have to switch it to your reserve bottle if it did run out. But make sure it's the bottle strapped in like it is now. So I've strapped the bottle in top and bottom just to show you how it goes, and the bottle's turned off before travelling. To connect the vehicle to mains electric, which is your mains hookup point, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar up, slide it on the vehicle first, then hook the sight up, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live lead. But it's very important that every 2 weeks you check your state of your leisure battery and give them a charge, especially more in the winter, because if they go fully flat in the winter, some batteries now won't accept a charge and it will be a replacement of a leisure battery. So do keep an eye on your leisure batteries. Here we've got your cassette. So this is your toilet cassette. So pressing and lifting the yellow toggle slides the cassette out of the vehicle. You can now carry it to your waste point, which is normally beside your toilet block on most sites. You then remove your yellow cap, put that to one side for a moment. Press the yellow button on the bottom of the cassette, so when you're pouring it, it stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow, and tip the cassette out. Once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap there, so you put some water in, give it a rinse, tip out again before going in with a cap full of liquid. So that can either be the blue or the green, and this cap takes 120 ml of chemical. You can measure it out if you want, or you can just put some down here by eye if you're thinking you're putting 120 ml in. But that's what it takes, 120 ml into there, back into the van, and it's good to be used. It will indicate on the cassette, on the toilet, that the cassette is full. So there's an indication, which I'll show you inside, when you know your toilet is full and it's time to empty the cassette. To fill with fresh water, this is your fresh water fill-up point. So you'd buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. You need a few different fittings because every tap on site is slightly different. So get the screw on, get the push on. Flatten the hose into the van and wait until it either overflows or until you look on your main control panel and see how much water you've got on board. In this locker here, this is where your leisure batteries are. So you've got two new Max batteries there. So they look brand new, so I think we've just put them on. And they are 105 amp hour, and you've got your main 50 amp fuse just at the back for the leisure batteries. To fill the van with fuel, which is diesel, it's beside the passenger door on the A-Class, and use the Burstner key, you'll be able to open that up and fill with fuel. Again, using the Burstner key, you'll be able to open and unlock the passenger door. Underneath the carb floor, you've got a panel here, and this is where the engine battery lives, so it physically lives underneath the floor in the carb. It's not underneath the bonnet. And underneath the passenger seat, you do have your electric block unit. So this is your 12 volt system. So all your 12 volt system runs through this blue block, which is electric block. And you've got all your fuses for your various 12 volt items. So do go and buy yourself an assortment of blade fuses, just standard ones, not micro, standard blade fuses, and keep them in the van. In case one fuse does blow, you'll be able to pick it out, just pull it out. In the middle, it's like a wiggly line shape. If the middle is blown, you'll know, and you'll be able to replenish the fuse. So I would personally carry some fuses with me in the motorhome just in case you need them. Just down here, so if you put your hands underneath the cup holder, your bonnet releases here, so you've got a lever just here, and you'll be able to open the bonnet. Put the stay into place there to keep the bonnet up, and you've got your screen wash here, which is the main one you're going to need. Your power steering fluid is this one, and your coolant is that one. Your brake fluid is up here, there with the yellow cap. Paint code is on there. And then to give or receive a jump start, you've got your air filter here, fuse board here for the van. Put the key, the flat end of the key, into here and lift it up. That is your positive, and you'd earth off any way you could earth, but there is a designated earthing point behind this pipe. So it's quite snug with it being an A-Class, but there is a designated earthing point just here. And you can put your black clip onto there for giving or receiving a jump start off the van. So now on board the vehicle, the first thing you want to do is turn on your 12 volt system, which will give you power. So if you're hooked up, you'll get this little light here on the picture of the plug, which means you are on mains 240 volt household electric, so you can use your 3-pin plugs. If you don't, you will just have 12 volt off your leisure batteries. So you can turn it on and off here. You can view the level of your van battery and leisure battery. But take the hookup out to get a true reading of those, because the hookup does give you a false reading. And then you can also view the, if you put the pump on, you can view the fresh water and the wastewater readings on here. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer with in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water. This is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this, we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next, you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2, will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1 and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner, so eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off just the once though. Clock in the middle and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold and it'll say off and it'll completely turn itself off. In the kitchen area, on the top you've got a Dometic hob. So you've got a piezo ignition here, so you can turn your gas rings on. If you haven't had the gas on for a long period of time, i.e. you've winterized the vehicle and you've had it stood up for 3-4 months when you've been busy and not using it in the winter, or it's always best, because obviously the gas lines will be empty, they'll be full of air because there's no gas in there. So what's best to do is always bring it through on the hob first. So just press and hold the dial in without igniting it until you hear the gas physically come through, then light it. And you're always bringing it through, so you're priming the lines, so your other gas appliances should then work. Once you've had the hob on, common sense, allow it to cool down before you do put the glass lid down, otherwise there is a chance you could shatter the glass lid. So make sure they're cool enough to touch before you put that down. Making sure that the pump is on, you'll be able to use your heating and hot water, and that hot water is getting up the temperature there. So your heating and hot water system is working, and obviously your hot and cold tap in the kitchen is working as it should as well. Push these catches down and lift the cabinets up. You've got some storage space. You can push this catch in and you do have 4 gas isolation taps. So you've got the oven, the boiler, the fridge and the hob. Any problems with gas, we recommend you to turn your bottle off. That's all good if you're on a site, because obviously you can use electric, but if you're wild camping and you think a gas appliance is leaking gas or not working as it should and you want to isolate it for your own safety, you can turn the valve to this position and that's off. In this position they're all on. But these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. Large storage drawer with cutlery drawer this side. Make sure you give them a good shut, and then you do have a large drawer at the bottom. Coming into the back of the kitchen, you've got your Dometic grill, and underneath you've got your oven. And then below that you do have your Dometic fridge with freezer compartment. So it's very easy to use your fridge. So you turn it on here, then you've got 3 sauces which you can pick. Someone's previously had this on gas and you can hear it ticking in the background. So this one is gas, which is used if you were not on hookup or wild camping and you want to use your freezer. Gas will cool and operate the fridge and freezer on that source. If you were on a site or you were pre-chilling at home, click the plug, which is mains 240 volt, and it'll act as a household fridge. And then when you're travelling, you can have it on battery. It's failed there now when it's beeping, because on battery, it's not off the leisure batteries, it's off the vehicle battery. So the vehicle battery only maintains it when the engine is running. So if you're moving from site to site, it's great because it keeps your shopping nice and fresh. Or if you've pre-chilled it at home and you're ready to move from home to your first site, put on a battery once you've started the engine, and it'll act as a big giant cool box until you arrive on site. But the best thing I'd like to do when I go away in a motorhome is a couple of days beforehand, I'll hook the van up. That allows the leisure batteries to take a good charge. I'd also knock the fridge on and put it on full temperature and allow the fridge to cool. The day or night before, I'll go off and do the shopping, bring it in, put it in the van and allow that to chill overnight. Then when I'm ready to drive off, select battery once I've started the engine so it doesn't fail and beep. Otherwise it will beep until you start the engine. So select the battery, turn the engine on, and I'm good to go. And then when I arrive on my site, if I'm on a site, back onto the hookup, or if I'm wild camping, onto gas. You can adjust the temperature this side of the fridge. So 5 being the coldest, 1 being the warmest. So when pre-chilling, have it on all 5. Turn it down to 3 or 4 maximum when you do put your shopping in, otherwise there is a chance it could freeze that. And then finally, when you're not using it, turn it off, give it a clean out. On the courtesy light here, if you press the pin in and slide these 2 pins out, and what that'll do is you can then rest the door upon it, but the door's quite loose. Because the door's got a rubber seal on, it forms an airtight seal. Putting them 2 pins out will stop the door from hitting the frame, and it'll allow air to circulate in and out of the fridge. So in the wardrobe area, At the bottom you've got your mains trips, so if you trip the vehicle out on mains electric, try here before you try your main site. And the top tip for you is, if you're thinking you're not receiving mains power, the best place to try first is tripping the van out. So on your RCD, if you press it and it trips, you're getting power. If it doesn't trip, you're not getting power. So you would then start thinking, is the lead all right? Is the site got power to the post? Try another post till you get electric. But if the vehicle physically trips, you've got power. If it doesn't, then it's not the van. Also in here at the back, you've got your solar panel, which is charging your leisure battery. It does its own thing. It's only as good as the round thing in the sky, and it will only maintain your batteries. To optimise the best out of your batteries, it's best that you give them a good charge once every 2 weeks on mains electric, and especially in the winter to avoid them from becoming damaged and needing replaced. In here is also your status TV aerial, so you've got a booster here, so it's shown green. If it was shown any other colour, it means you haven't got a... Red means you haven't got a signal, orange means you've got a signal but it's weak. So you can adjust the booster there, or because it's a directional aerial, you can unscrew it, push the stem up, screw it back into place, and it lifts it slightly, and use the toggle to direct the aerial, and that will tilt it from side to side and lean it over till it gets the best signal. But the best place, or the best thing should I say, to do is look where your other motorhomes and caravans are pointing, because then you don't have to mess on with the aerial too long. Someone else has done it for you and they've got a good enough TV signal. Washroom. So removing the base cushion of your dinette seat, and located on the top is two cutouts. The red one is access to the tank. Should you want to clean it out or put any cleaner in there, you can open there, give it a clean out, pour your cleaner in there, fill it with water and flush it out with a couple of tanks of fresh water if you want to clean it out once every season. But the best thing to do when cleaning it out is put your liquid in, fill it up and allow it to sit in the tank for 24 hours. And then a couple of fresh tanks of water to wash it out before you then use it. To drain it down though, if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, or you're simply not using the van for a while, or you are winterising it and you're parking it up for a couple of months in the winter to avoid it freezing, similar to your waste's outside, your fresh is on side. So it's inside the vehicle, it's just here, and all you need to do is turn it, and you'll be able to drain the water out underneath the van. So it just turns to the habitation door and drains it out, and as you can hear there, the water is draining out the vehicle. And to close, turn it to this window until you can't turn it anymore and it's closed off, and you can fill it back with water. So to operate your cab seats, you do have a lever here which spins the seat round, both driver and passenger. If it was getting caught, just adjust the bar at the front, either bring the seat further on the runner or push it back so that it spins freely round into the rear of the motorhome. And then when you're ready to bring down your integrated front bed, this is a handle here, so you slide it back and tilt the seat back forward. And then what you want to do is lift this panel here, which is your safety catch, and slide it down. And then the ladder that's at the back of the van here, will hook on, and you'll be able to climb up and down into the bed. In your washroom, to operate your toilet, you've got this blue button at the back under the Fed logo, which is your freshwater flush. So your water from the toilet comes from where you fill with the hose outside in your freshwater tank. So you'd press it, making sure the pump's on, put a small amount of water in the bowl first. And then before you think about using it, you want to open the blade, which is on the bottom of the toilet, to get rid of that water. But that water cleans the blade and lubricates the seal before you use it. And then on here there's a little grey lever, so to the right, use the toilet, good flush after use. If you've bought any blue and pink, obviously the blue's designed to go in the cassette, the pink's designed to go in a header tank, which this motorhome doesn't have. But what you can do is get an empty spray bottle, put so much pink in, dilute it, keep it handy in the washroom, spray the bowl, it'll clean the bowl and it'll give a fragrant smell in here. Flush and then shut. Always after use, close the blade. It isolates the cassette, and it means when the cassette is ready to come out the van, it'll slide out. If it was to be open, the cassette won't come out because the mechanism's still engaged. And you'll get a light here to see the cassette's full. Two lights here, so you've got one being the spotlights and one being the backlit of your mirror. Toiletry cabinet. Your hand basin and your hot water there is warm, so your boiler is working as it should, and this tap's performing as well. Take the catch off and you'll be able to turn and give yourself a confined, sealed shower cubicle. So it'll keep the toilet from getting wet. Shower head here, so you can have a shower, and then when winterising with the shower head, it's always best that you unscrew it, put this away in a drawer, put this on the floor, like that. Leave the mixer tap open. Just means any water that sits in the pipe can escape out of the two plug holes in the shower tray, so it doesn't bust the hose or cause any damage. And one thing about the shower cubicle and shower surrounds, don't use any harsh chemicals like bleaches when cleaning. Use light, soapy, mild liquid on the shiny and the matte, otherwise there is a chance you could stain it. Once you stain it, you've got to get it sprayed to get rid of the cream stain that you've provided black to the glossy white finish.